Honourable Second Member for Quartier Militaire and Muka. My pleasure.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to move the motion standing on my name that this Assembly resolves that the Government Programme 2025-2029 presented to this Assembly on Friday, 24th January 2025, copy of which has been circularised amongst honourable members be and is hereby approved. Madam Speaker, dear honourable members, I am deeply honoured to address this august Assembly on the occasion of my maiden speech. In the context of the debates on the 2024-2029 Government Programme presented by His Excellency, the President of Mauritius, Mr. Dharam Gokul. As a new member of this Assembly, a neophyte, I am privileged to initiate discussions on a groundbreaking programme that binds us to our destiny, that is, to serve this land and its people with diligence, honour, and integrity. A new parliamentarian, I thank the Prime Minister, Honourable Dr. Navin Ramgoolam, and our Vice Prime Minister, Honourable Mr. Paul Béranger, for having bestowed upon me the duty to serve the nation. Along with my fellow new members of the Assembly, I can affirm that we are privileged and honoured to have been chosen by the people to represent them, to fight for their best interest and lead a nation from darkness to light, with our dream and hopes shaping a guiding beacon. May I express my gratitude to our leaders for having embraced the aspirations and hope of every citizen for a land where our human rights and dignity are respected and valued, a land where our humanity is protected and our future held dearly. This programme epitomises the leaders of the Alliance of Change commitment to build a government of the people, by the people, for the people. We, elected members of this Assembly, sit at the cusp of history. We have been entrusted with the people's faith to rebuild a nation that was formerly entrapped in the throes of pain and despair. With this programme, we carry the flame of hope the people have conferred upon us. We carry the aspirations of thousands of men, women, youth, and elderly who have dreamt of a land where life shall flourish. Above all, we have been bestowed with the duty of rebuilding a land with a programme that encapsulates the essence of struggles led by workers, ecologists, human rights activists, feminists, and engaged citizens who firmly believe in a fair and just society for each and every citizen. As an eco-socialist with an unflinching faith that a free and equitable world can be constructed for us all, this programme empowers me to continue the people's struggle for social, economic, and ecological justice. The 2024-2029 Government Programme in its entirety imbues us with hope and pride. It anchors in our spirit an unflinching sense of duty towards our people, our nation, and our homeland. It is indeed a bridge to the future, a brighter, more secure, and peaceful future. As noted by His Excellency the President, the country had experienced one of the darkest periods of its history prior to the November 2024 elections. In contrast, this programme paves the path into a future where this government is strongly responsive to the needs and aspirations of its people. May I express my deep gratitude to His Excellency, the President of Mauritius, who articulated our vision with shared faith, hope, and commitment. This programme channels our manifesto, the historic-making signed agreement among 4 political parties to lead a nation from darkness to light from despair to hope, from subjugation to freedom. It is the bridge to a safe and empowered future for the people. May I congratulate you, Madam Speaker, on your nomination. Madam, you have ensured so far that the Assembly is an illustrious, democratic space where the freedom of expression is upheld in utmost respect. Dear Madam, you symbolize the aspiration of us, Mauritian feminists, and you are a role model to us all. Though we may appear little, we are fierce, as our dear Shakespeare said about strong women. Madam Speaker, I'm deeply grateful to this government, to our inspired leaders who have dared to augur system change that shall protect the democratic rights of future generations. This government is embarking on key constitutional reforms to protect the nation from any further violation of our democratic rights. The dark days we formerly experienced are deeply scarred in our memory, and we are still tending to our wounds. The balm, Madam Speaker, has been provided with the future Constitutional Review Commission. It is to be noted that this commission will guarantee that local government elections will be held regularly according to law. This commission further has been tasked with incorporating public interest litigation and class action into the Constitution. In a healthy democracy, people should be empowered to reflect, question, mobilize, and take action. History has been made repeatedly when people mobilized to overthrow injustice across the world. With the forthcoming public interest litigation and class action motion, we're proud of a government that places faith in the people's independence, leadership, intelligence, and decision-making capacities. Mauritius has shown as a firm model of democratic freedom when the people rose to oust its former regime under which it had been suffocating. Constitutional reforms hailing democratic rights are the hallmark of a government ready to serve their people. The right to recall motion recognizes, similarly, the primacy of public interest. It augurs good governance, accountability, and guarantees future generations that their needs will be prioritized. Likewise, through the concerted address of digital rights, this government program emphasizes its commitment to protecting the people from the former invasive surveillance that threatened every fabric of our lives and robbed us of our serenity. A healthy democracy is where each citizen breathes freedom, where each citizen can reflect, think critically, and contribute to the country's well-being. The November 2024 elections precisely demonstrated the people's intelligence, their firm stance against oppression, and their refusal to be swayed by money and false promises. The Freedom of Information Act further seals the will of this government to construct a model democratic state, where every media organ will be free, where each citizen's voice can be heard and heeded. A healthy, dynamic, and functional participatory democracy will be the historical legacy of this government. A government that seeks to empower people rather than divide and rule. A government that aims to recognize our brotherhood and sisterhood. A nation with a shared cultural history rather than draw boundaries based on obsolete and absurd ethnic divisions is a government that is decolonizing our minds. I am immensely proud to be a member of this government that will undertake constitutional reforms whereby any Mauritian may stand for elections as a Mauritian. This government is thus discarding the divisive legacy of colonization. As a former academic, who specialized in post-colonial cultural histories of embodied resistance and resilience, I can but beam with pride and respect for our leaders who are making history and ending decades of injustice. This government is indeed entrenching the decolonization of minds, soul, and the entire island. It is setting an example for the post-colonial world to condemn and reject the toxic colonial legacy of divide and rule. This government is setting an example for the entire world to emulate by forging a future where communalism may be dismantled and our shared humanity valued. Madam Speaker, system change is what we need to build a better, fair, and just society. This is embedded in our government program, where the Just Transition Commission will be set up to anchor a firm ecological consciousness in every socio-economic endeavor. In a context of economic crisis and chaos, our leaders are to be lauded for having understood the ecological imperative on which human survival depends. The program is an affirmation of this government's commitment to protecting life, nature, and the land. By inserting the rights of nature in the Constitution, this program will align this government along with the visionary and exemplary nations such as New Zealand, India, and Canada, who recognize nature as a right-bearing entity. For a fervent ecologist, inserting the rights of nature in the Constitution is the prime signal of a government that is cognizant of the life-threatening implications of the climate crisis. I warmly thank all ecologists who have led multiple struggles to which our government leaders have now responded with utmost sensitivity. Nature is life. Nature is our mother. Nature is our home. Nature does not belong to us. We belong to it. This government has solemnly pledged to protect nature. It has solemnly pledged to protect life. It has solemnly pledged to protect us all and our land. Thank you to our leaders from the depth of our ecological souls that have been seared by the past destruction of our ecosystems. The protection of our ESAs, that is our environmentally sensitive areas, similarly illustrate how this government has embraced eco-consciousness. This is hope. This is the bridge to the future we embrace wholeheartedly. Madam Speaker, economic crises are engineered to shape precarity, psychosis, and a sense of fragility that make us vulnerable to economic predators. It is within this context that we need to appreciate this program's emphasis on socio-economic rights. This program epitomizes our leaders' refusal to sacrifice the people's rights, well-being, and future, no matter how deep we are mired in troubled economic waters. Our leaders will not sacrifice our people on the altar of economic imperatives. This is true humanism. This is true leadership. This is true ethos-driven decision-making. Thank you. I acclaim this government's insistence on protecting workers, women in particular, with regards to the regulation of working hours with the 40-hour work week, the provision of maternity leave for up to 1 year, and flexi time for women, as well as work-from-home schemes. As a feminist, I have strongly deplored the manner in which capitalism exploits women, who bear the burden of social reproduction and care work, both of which are invaluable to the economy. The economic value of work carried out mostly by women in the home is silenced, erased, taken for granted because capitalism instrumentalizes patriarchy. Measures announced in the government program with regards to workers' rights place an onus on work-life balance and seek to ease the mental charge of women. I'm grateful to women who withstand the demands of capitalism. I'm grateful to feminists who fight for women's care work to be valued. I'm grateful to our decision makers who have finally acknowledged that women's work matters, women's bodies matter, and that patriarchy needs to be dismantled for women to thrive. Similarly, I applaud the visionary step to be taken to amend the artist's status in the law. The artist will no more be condemned to survive in an exploitative, denigrating, and destructive system. This program seeks not only to value the artist, but to confer upon the artist a recognized employee status for him or her to rise above precarity. As such, the program recognizes how the empowered and secure artist will be key to developing the cultural industry as a new pillar of the economy. Culture is our lifeblood. Culture is our identity. Culture incorporates our dynamic and creative modes of engaging with our daily reality, our history, and our dreams for the future. A thriving cultural industry is the heartthrob of a healthy society. This program rightly emphasizes the much-needed expansion this industry requires to celebrate our shared culture and heritage. Madam Speaker, the government program recognizes the primacy of socioeconomic and cultural rights as defined by the treaty, the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights that Mauritius signed on 12 December 1973. Yes, 52 years later, we now have a government, we now have leaders who will honor this treaty by incorporating our social and economic rights in our constitution. This is system change. Indeed, what we are privileged to be part of is a leadership based on care and empathy, a leadership that will forge a stronger nation, a nation that looks after the most vulnerable members of our society, a nation that values dignity, respect, and solidarity. The very values that our Prime Minister has reminded us are our empowering legacy from our history of enslavement. This program expressively stipulates that in Mauritius, the elderly, people with disabilities, widows, and orphans will be taken care of. This is a solemn pledge that can but empower us in our daily struggles to help thousands who suffer from systemic discrimination. Madam Speaker, authentic leadership is about care and empathy. It is based on meaningful connections with humanity as a whole. This leadership of care is exemplified by careful attention paid in the program to a range of reforms aimed at improving the lives of each and every citizen. Indeed, pension reforms and the e-social security system are fundamental. There are concrete steps being envisaged to upgrade a system that currently condemns thousands to profound misery. As newly elected members of the Assembly, we are being called upon daily to respond to multiple cases of genuine and heartbreaking human distress. The previous system has been nothing but criminal. It has been cruel, deadly, and monstrous. It has inflicted needless pain and suffering on the weakest of our citizens. This program precisely seeks to give us the tools to support our most vulnerable fellow men and women. We welcome with our whole hearts the much required change in the social security system. We will not only care, but we will act upon our care. Madam Speaker, the Mauritian family has been under dire stress over the past years. Rising cost of living, poor employment prospects, the burden of long working hours, and children having no hope of a future in the homeland, as well as significant social ills, have made our families frail. This program recognizes that the family unit has to be strengthened in order for our society to stand firm and strong again. Families are the foundation of social reproduction. They protect life and the future of humanity. Protecting each family is a government's ultimate responsibility. With regards to education, we genuinely applaud the program's emphasis on inclusion. Our education system has long been discriminatory and elitist, with systemic exclusion of the most vulnerable, that is, students with SEN requirements. In the recent past, we have further witnessed the deliberate dismantling of the education system. Exclusion in a competitive system that is overly exam-oriented has sapped our children of the potential to develop their full intellectual abilities. It has been orchestrated intellectual genocide of the innocent and the underprivileged. Inclusion, in contrast, is progress. Inclusion is ethics. Inclusion is the valuing of each child's right. Inclusive education is the way forward. This government has already demonstrated its dedication to implementing inclusive education by eradicating the extended stream program. It was the prime example of how our children were being failed by a system that could not even develop the numeracy and literacy skills. This government program, in addition, seeks to value teachers and their role. This fundamental aim can but redress the profound flaws of a system where teachers are not empowered to support the intellectual and holistic development of our children. Our children and their future can no more be sacrificed on altars of narrow policies and dysfunctional educational practices. Dedicated teachers change lives, forge aspirations, and shape a country's future. One of the main reasons I stand here today is because my teachers believed in me. With a growth mindset, teachers can make a difference for each Mauritian child. This is precisely what this government seeks to achieve. Madam Speaker, we can similarly applaud the close attention paid to food security in the government program. Food security is one of the primary challenges we face due to the climate crisis. Anxiety about food access during the initial phase of the COVID-19 pandemic still lingers in our minds. Disruptions of supply chain and rising food prices resulted in near-mass psychosis. It is to the honor of this government to tackle food insecurity and ensure that such dramatic lack of access to food never occurs again. Food is a basic human right. It is a fundamental physiological need as defined by Maslow, without which no other need can be satisfied. A government that feeds its people, that provides equal access to food, is a responsible and caring government. It is duty-bound and driven by conscientious awareness about the climate crisis. It is good governance, for it bears foresight into an insecure future in the Anthropocene era. Madam Speaker, with regards to restoring law and order, we can but breathe with relief that the Prime Minister and this government are spearheading immediate and concrete action to battle the scourge of drugs. Madam Speaker, drugs have and are taking their toll on our society. Not a single day goes by without us witnessing the tragedies drugs entail in every corner of our society. The case of baby Catalia, murdered by a neighbor under the influence of synthetic drugs, exemplifies the human loss we endure due to the pervasiveness of drugs across the island. Drugs are killing our children, murdering our youth, and incapacitating whole families. They are the bane of this land and its people. The government program demonstrates precisely the genuine leadership required to battle the scourge, no matter how hard it is. Amidst various urgent significant measures stated in the program, the distinction to be made between traffickers and consumers denotes the willingness to take care of victims, to look after the people. This program seeks to heal, save, and protect. We are thankful and we hold dearly the hope that no more children shall suffer the fate of baby Catalia. May her soul rest in peace. May innocent children suffer no more. Madam Speaker, I thank this government for paying due attention to improving access to justice, to enhancing judiciary processes and forging public trust in the police. The police and criminal justice, as well as the criminal evidence bills, will no doubt be elaborated with due expertise to safeguard the public and ensure institutional efficacy. We may now breathe with relief. To have faith in the judiciary and the police is what the people have been hoping for with bated breath. The former failures of both institutions had almost led us to the state of the Homo Sacer, as defined by Giorgio Agamben, the state of exception, where our humanity, our safety, and our right to life were no more upheld by those in power. This government is therefore ready to take on the most dire of challenges: make the island safe again. I'm grateful to our decision makers who have paid due consideration to the appropriate, safe, and conducive conditions police officers need to work in. I strongly deplore the current dilapidated state of many police stations, particularly in my constituency number 8. I think particularly of women police officers who work odd hours in conditions where they cannot even access clean and operational bathrooms. This program reflects humane and sensitive attention paid to the working conditions of police officers. They are frontline employees and have to undertake extensive emotional labor. My constituency has witnessed the worst of crimes. It is our duty to look after those who will help us seek justice. It is our duty to ensure they can perform to the best of their abilities in safe and healthy conditions. Madam Speaker, a caring government is a government that dares take on board the criminal dysfunctionalities of systems it has inherited. One such dysfunctionality of extensive proportions lies in the healthcare sector, where we have witnessed the tragic loss of lives of patients on dialysis during the COVID-19 pandemic. With a firm intention of supporting substance abuse rehabilitation, improving current mental health care, and ensuring more adequate services to the elderly, this program entrenches the government's dedication to providing quality public health care. Free quality public health care is the hallmark of a functional welfare state that forges equity across our society. As Margaret Mead stated, civilization is only achieved when the most vulnerable and sickly is carefully looked after. Indeed, this government program epitomizes the duty of care towards us all. I'm proud to be part of a government that further places emphasis on youth empowerment, developing a dynamic sports sector, and ensuring just access to our housing. This program bears in mind the precise social and economic dimensions that can empower each Mauritian, no matter his or her walk of life. To conclude, Madam Speaker, the people rose, broke their chains, and handed us the beacon of light to a future of hope for each Mauritian. This program etches a vision of ethical governance based on care for life, nature, and the land. An equal and just society is what this program aspires to. We understand the economic challenges, but we can hail the vision of our leaders, the drive to protect the people, redress the multiple wrongs Mauritians have been subject to for years, and rebuild a nation where we can all live securely, breathe freely, and be at peace is inspiring. A vision empowers. It draws from every struggle for human dignity, respect, and the right to life. It shapes the purpose of life. It boldens our spirit to climb over mountains and cross rivers. A true revolutionary is guided by love for humanity, hope, and a vision for its upliftment. I therefore call upon this august assembly to approve this motion. C'est le plat de résistance et de résilience de notre gouvernement. Merci.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your first speech. Thank you and welcome.